last trip in his life. It was 2004, and I saw the book, and I saw the book as a presentation of his visit. I'm grateful that you are here, that you saw the book. I hope that you read something, if it is important to read today. But sometimes we must read a little bit, not too much. I think that my generation marks also, we read too much, and some of yours, but this we have not. I'm sure that the future of reading is a little bit in doubt, and it will be great to invent new, together with GPT, DeepSeek, and others, new new inventions, how to read, how to teach, and how to think, because everything will be different. And I'm not sure that this kind of lectures, Derrida was here 20 years ago, and this kind of lecture will exist in the future. Everything will be, I think, different, because we don't need, it's very difficult to say that we can learn something in a group. I hope that it will be possible to learn something together. That's why teaching exists, and faculty exists, university exists. But this is in doubt today with some individual instruments, as GPT is. Okay, the book, book is not important. Important is a problem, just one problem. Our problem always still is violence. You had huge violence 10 days ago. War. I heard, I listened. Now in United States there is no Department of Peace, but Department of Defense. We have Department of War, and I listened several. This guy, General Secretary of Department of War, and he mentioned many times enemies, interior, exterior, Russia, China, and he announced war. War is before of us, in front of us, but war, it was if you remember, when Obama got the Nobel Prize, in his lecture he mentioned several times that the future will be that the wars arrive, and that's why my thesis, because my thesis was with Jacques Derrida and Etienne Balibar, it was the thesis about last war and institutional philosophy. In this thesis, I argued that there is no thinking without war, and there is no war without thinking. That was the thesis of the. I think that there is no thinking without violence. We can precise this. Violence pushed us to think, and everything is in our life, on one way or another, aggression, violence, force, and we are just evaluating all the time the quantity of violence, quality of violence, etc. And is it useful violence? Is it justified violence, etc.? Well, that's our life. I think immediately as a kids, or immediately when we have kids, we see this problematic immediately, that sometimes you have to use the force. Sometimes you see that we have in front of us negation or aggression or something, and we must evaluate this and think on this. When we have a war, when we have a huge action, huge quantity of victims, as you had 10 days before, immediately we are thinking about responsibility, our responsibility, not just states' responsibility or federals or police responsibility or criminals' responsibility, but our responsibility. That means when we have a war, immediately we have collective responsibility. Who is responsible for this? We don't know, is it responsible, because responsibility is not, it's a quantitative term. You know, when we are using concepts are always the same, but responsibility, your responsibility for this police action, police responsibilities for this action, president's responsibility, mayor responsibility, or my responsibility for this action is different. But all of us, we have responsibility. Why? Because we have victims. When we see the victims, when we see well, immediately we are in front of, how to say, who is responsible. I will not using the word who is guilty, because this is the same. You know, in German, as you know, the words guilty and debt are on the same register. That means we have to do something because of this. Well, that's why this book is interesting, because it's translated on many languages, 8 languages. Well, this is not, it's difficult, you know, to arrange this, why is published on several, or translated on several languages? Because the book is difficult, because of title. Title is interesting. Violence on one side and Messianism. This is a remake of, or paraphrase of Derrida's text, Violence and Metaphysics, important text, his early text. But here we have this word Messianism, not because of just religion connotation of Catholic or Jewish in that case, but because of importance of justification of violence. Messianism is important, is this word "and," how to justify violence. And you know, we have different kind theory of Messianism in different traditions. In Apocalypse, if we in John's Apocalypse, you remember, we don't know if it will be the beginning or the Messianic era is connected with violence, with huge wars. Well, maybe because of this, it's interesting to think what's happened with us in next period of time, I can say in next 10 years, because critical will be next 10 years. Well, that's why Messianism, etc. When I listened that guy, Minister of Secretary, yesterday on the site of Department of War of United States, I saw that guy who is not, you know, please take a look the face of him. I'm not, if he has the consciousness what he's talking about, you know, to mention or to repeat all the time that we have enemies, that enemies are around us, that that the fight against enemies is our future, immediately we must think about justification. Okay, first of all, what is the violence? Violence is, in physics of Aristotle, you have a small, good definition. What does it mean? Aristotle differentiates two kinds of movement. One is natural, and the other is bia, is violent, is aggressive. And he differentiated two different events. One, if I'm doing something, that means, okay, for example, I have on my mind to take this bottle, and this is natural. I'm taking the bottle, and I produced one movement which is completely mine, spontaneous. I had something on my mind, and I made it. This is not violent action. But if Valkyria, with her beautiful name, pushed me and makes some kind of telepathy that I do something which is not my action, natural action, that means if she pushed me to do the same thing, that will be violent action. That means violence, bia is in Greek, is action or movement which is from outside, from somebody, from some other. The source of this movement is not mine, is not me, is not my mind, is not my. This is violence. This is the beginning of history of the thinking of something. If we check in our life, we are all the time this tension between free will. That means that we can do something on our own, and this all the time we are doing something which is not our will, because I'm doing something because of someone. I will help you because of you. I will, etc., etc. Then we are eating. This is also aggressive action. We are destroying something. We are doing something against the object. Then we are talking bad. In that case, we are producing harms to the others. That means we are all in position of in front to do something, against, in front, etc. Well, we are all the time in antagonism. We have no time. I think this is more important. I'm trying now to understand what does it mean, antagonism, because antagonism arrives from, from biology, from the cells, because cells are in antagonism sometimes when the body is sick, for example, etc., etc. It means this is huge problem and more problematic. Here we have on one side what is important today for us, and in next what was important 10 days ago here in Rio, or what will be important is that how to connect something good and something bad. We are thinking that exists something good, which is Messianism, which is justice, which is equalities, which is right, which is good. And on the other side, we have different kind of acts, bad acts. I will not say evil acts. We have bad acts, and we have violent acts, aggressive acts, etc. And the question here in this book, I found several names, but I can make the other books with completely the other names in history of the thinking. It will be the same. This is not to put Benjamin, Rosenzweig, Levinas, etc. Hegel is. We can put the other names, and the result will be same, and the dilemma will be the same. how to justify violence. How to justify, is it violent or contrary? Is it violent act justified? When is justified? How much quantity of violence is it justified or not? Is it, can I kill somebody and when I can kill somebody? Killing, when is killing justified? This is the book. This is the principal problem in this book. When I can kill somebody. And all of these people here in this book thought about this. Behind of all of this, we can say that we have this kind of tension between, in German, Gewalt, and on the other side, Gewalt, because we don't know still the difference between Gewalt, Macht, Kraft. It's too complicated in all our languages, Slavs or Latin. And on the other side, we have something like a justice, like a good, like a right, like a order. Order in the sense of O-R-D-E-R. Means why this end between violence and Messianism. Behind is this imagination, this project, or this. We are believing that it's possible to do something with war, that it's possible to do something with violence. That's the. Okay, now immediately we have our opinion about this, or our opinions about this. You think that, for example, it's necessary to do something, sometimes something violent. You think that it's impossible, it's not permitted to do this, to do violent acts, etc., etc. Well, this is our dilemma. We will see, for example, if we ask in police department here 10 days ago or today, if we ask some people there, if we make some kind of investigation about justification of these acts, we will see that we have different kind of opinions. Some of them are strict, and some of them. Some people will say that it was justified action, the other will say no, etc., etc., and we have a problem. Well, okay, here I will not. I think it's better to think and to talk about all of this and in discussion. But the principle to not to talk about today Benjamin or I don't know Rosenzweig or Derrida. We have history of our mind, history of our thinking is a history of the idea that is useful, that is effective to do something violent. For example, the first word we have about important about this is the sacrifice. Sacrifice is one of the most important. You remember in religion, you remember of self-sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Everything we can arrange in our world as a history of efficacy or effective sacrifice. We are thinking that is efficacy. In Roman world, we had with Christianity and with Hebrew tradition, we have not sacrifice of people, of men, of kids. But as you remember in Roman, for example, imperia, we had sacrifice of kids. For example, they believe that if we have, I don't know, red rains, because sometimes they had rains in Rome, they thought that it will be necessary to sacrifice, I don't know, 30 kids to kill them, and in that case to stop raining or stop some kind of I don't know, some kind of catastrophic moments in history. Well, how is it possible that this kind of institution, that you have to give something or you have to do something bad, still is how to say, still is without any doubt? For example, we have tradition of, we can say, Derrida's tradition. I mentioned on one 2 days ago. He was, for example, for him it was important to negotiate all the time. If we are in negotiation, if we are talking all the time, we are hesitating, and there is no violence in that case. Imagine that Macron, who was principal negotiator with Putin 2 years and a half ago, imagine that he would not stop, because he stopped and violence and war started. But imagine that he was continuing to negotiate. In that case, we will postpone violence. I think the principal idea is to postpone violence. But, well, here we have something problematic, because sometimes, I have to just justify this, sometimes you have to kill, or we have to kill, or we have to produce some collective killing. Why? Because we must stop the killing. If we are in situation, if we are in, how to say, if we are in, violence has capability to stop the violence. Violence, there is no, in violence we have not capacity to renew something, to make the world better. But I think that violence has, and that's why violence could be justified. Okay, this is one thesis of this book. Sometimes we are using violence to stop the violence. Sometimes I was using violence against my kids to stop stupidity of them. It was huge stupidities. I see stupid guy, crazy guy, bad acts, and I'm producing something to stop the stupidity. Well, exist. You know, I think all of us, we are using the some kind of acts which are not good. This is first dilemma, and first let us say point to discuss. Second dilemma is why sacrifice? Why I'm doing this? And if we check the word. Not words, Latin word, or yours or our in French, Portuguese, and Spain is the same. Italian is the same root of this word of sacrifice. If you check Hebrew examples, we will see that one of the principles, Derrida mentioned also many times this word, korban. Korban is I'm sacrificing something to be closer to God. I do this to be closer. We can say that the history of our thinking or of the world is the idea to be closer. Closeness is most important thing in our life, I think. Distance and closeness. We saw this. It was our experience during COVID. COVID was our experiment with this distance closeness. Today, you know, sometimes I see when because this bottle, we remember this bottle, we are touching this bottle, everything today normally, but 5 years ago it was necessary to produce the distance and a little bit, you know, some kind of independent state. That was a huge post-liberal experiment with COVID. In COVID, we were all of us, we were huge liberals and we can say capitalist, colonialist, etc. Because we insisted on the distance. Closeness, we are sometimes, or generally, we are doing something aggressive to be closer. For example, sex is also action to be closer. With some, you know, I said many times that if I'm kissing you, if I'm producing the kiss is always, sometimes, not sometimes, generally is aggressive. This is act which is not, we can produce agreement, consent, etc., but this action to be close is a little bit aggressive, it's too close. Well, closeness and distance, if we think about this, we can how to say, I think we will be clever to understand the violence much more. When I said that I will say something as a third point, and that's the finish of this introductory word. I will read one small fragment, or two small fragments on this relation between violence and something good, we can say. This is. I had the lectures. I was visiting professor in May in China, in Fudan, and I made the 6 lectures about history of violences, and I introduced it. That will be maybe useful on 6 points. First point is the other, because violence is always against the other. Well, there is no violence if there is no other. Other could be man or woman. This is different, but anyway, very important. I know that this is how to say, politically incorrect to say that exist man and woman, and but could be politically incorrect also to not to mention that exist man, woman, and all of them in transitions, or third, let's say third. But anyway, this is important because other is not simple other. Other could be subject, could be object. Other is this also. Well, then the concept we talk. Then how to stop, how to end violence, because all the time we mention in this 40 minutes what does it mean end violence? What does it mean conversion, transformation of violence in something good? Is it possible to convert violence, etc.? Then violence and justice, which we have in revolution, in Marx, from Marx, but not just from Marx, everywhere. In Aristotle we have the same. Then ethics of war and justification of extreme violence, because this violence 10 days ago was extreme violence. But imagine drone violence we have with drones. This is more extreme because we have not, we could not answer or respond to this kind of violence. And in the end, what is victory? Victory, because victory is a stop, something that when not win-win situation, because Generally, it's impossible win-win situation. We see, is it possible to make win-win situation between Putin and Zelensky? Because they are crazy all the time. They are talking about absolute victory. Absolute victory, that means to destroy, or to destroy enemy, to destroy the other. In that case, what kind of victory we can produce, which implies peace? We have this 100 years ago. Woodrow Wilson proposed the idea of victory, peaceful victory that produces peace, not next war. Well, this kind of victory. Okay, the two phrases. One is of Marx. He said, "Violence is the midwife of every old society pregnant with a new one. It is itself an economic power." Again, violence is the midwife. Midwife is, midwife in a pregnancy, that woman who helped, generally woman who helped to produce,
It is translated as partir, I think. Partir.
Yeah, say louder.
Capital reference, right?
Sorry? Capital, yeah, capital.
It is translated as partir.
As?
Partir.
Okay, cool. Violence is the midwife of every old society pregnant with a new one. It's crazy. Violence. Always, as I see this, I see, sometimes we can find in Marx monstrosity. Sometimes he's monster. Yeah. Well, how to invent this kind of phrase? Violence is the midwife. Violence is midwife. That means of every old society pregnant with new one. Pregnancy. You have a pregnancy. This is conceptio in Latin. Pregnancy. And you have a midwife who is helping to produce something new. Well, this is Marx, and we have this in when we are just, when we want to be just, we must think about this, because this is very complicated situation. Yeah? And second is Hegel. This is nothing new, but it's good to understand what does it mean, this difference between Macht and Gewalt, power and violence. Because generally we are in philosophy. This in Hannah Arendt you have this explanation, etc., etc. But this is always because we are not German. Somebody of you have here Neue Freiburg. I saw in Rio. You have many Germans. Maybe you have in some genes in your body are German. Probably you can understand this better, but it's difficult to understand what does it mean correctly, how to convert the word Gewalt, Macht and Kraft in violence or power or potentia, etc. Hegel said violence is the manifestation of power, or power as the external. This is good, I think. Violence, power, because I'm not sure that kid is very weak, and the kid is producing violent or aggressive act. That means kid has some kind of power, and this exteriority of power of kid is violent act. That means it's not necessary that you have huge power to do something violence. You can capability to produce violence is not how to say quantitative important. I have to stop here. You see, I think that I presented I think GPT could not do this. GPT is more strict. I'm not, probably this is our chance not to be so strict, to open the field without so many answers. Book is a little bit answer. Book is reduction, also aggressive, always, because you have to decide. Derrida, as I said 2 days ago, Derrida and Benjamin are they were born the same date, 15th of July. This is cancer, and this is very complicated. What does it mean? It means all the time hesitation with so many aggressive moments. Cancer generally could be very aggressive, but at the end, he's good. He or she is good. Good. That means there is some kind of, how to say, I don't know, oscillation, and but anyway, hesitation is important. When you are writing, you are in process of hesitation, but anyway, you have to decide. Sometimes, what does it mean, decision? Decision means that, why decision? This is a very good word in German also, Entscheidung. Entscheidung, when you are doing something, you are not doing something other. That means decision is aggressive because you choose something and exclude all the others, and this is a little bit bad. It's better to hesitate. It's better to not decide. But there is no life. There is no institutions. There is no collective. We could not live together if we are not in process of constant decision. That means, the text of Derrida or Benjamin and some fragments here or some passages here are very difficult because of it. When you are in hesitation, when you are not strict, when you are not GPT protocol using or producing, you are aggressive. You are not aggressive. You are trying to be, to be in negotiations, let's say like this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I'm gonna
Please
summarize in português. Pessoal, como eu falei no início, se vocês tiverem interesse em fazer algum tipo de pergunta, não quiserem fazer em inglês, podem fazer em português, a gente traduz, né? Acho que só um resumo, que foi mais ou menos o combinado com o Rafael, que eu faria, tipo, né, algum tipo de explicação em português, tendo em vista que a ideia era que, de fato, né, isso fosse uma conferência internacional, um desafio para pós-graduação, no compromisso não só do PPGF, mas, enfim, do próprio Rafael em colocar essas situações em que a língua estrangeira se coloca como um desafio aí para a gente, já aqui, né, num programa de pós é o que se espera, né, que a gente tenha contato com a língua estrangeira. Então, pensando nisso, o Rafael me pediu para fazer, né, essa mediação, ora em português, ora em inglês, de acordo com a demanda de vocês mesmos, né? Então, em resumo, o professor Petar trouxe o livro dele, né? Acho que todo mundo, quem não conhece, quem veio pelo tema, né, para tomar conhecimento, esse livro foi traduzido para o português numa coletânea liderada pelo pessoal do direito, né? Um dos coordenadores dessa coletânea é o Gilmar Mendes, né? Nosso ministro da STF, só para vocês terem uma ideia, do Instituto, né, de Direito Público, né? IDP, lá de Brasília. Então, ele já tem sido aí objeto de estudo no Brasil. Temos alguns dos nossos doutorandos e doutores, né, que tiveram contato direto com esse livro. Mas para quem não conhece, né, essa é uma obra trabalhada pelo professor Petar a partir do doutorado dele, não é o doutorado dele, né, mas que foi uma experiência de orientação do Jacques Derrida com o Balibar, né, ele foi orientado pelos dois. Então ele faz esse resumo, de certa forma, sobre as teorias acerca da violência, e obviamente que ele deixa alguns dos seus registros sobre o tema, né? Uma das coisas mais importantes que ele ressaltou hoje, e falou também lá na FND, quando ele teve junto com um grupo de pesquisa da professora Juliana Neuschwander e do Luciano Nuno, que é sobre a responsabilidade coletiva, né? Então, como que a consequência da violência retumba na gente, independente, né, do nosso envolvimento direto, mas somos todos, de certa forma, responsáveis. Além disso, ele traz também algumas perspectivas relacionadas à própria teoria acerca da violência, alguns elementos sobre o outro. Ele não falou tão explicitamente dessa vez, mas na FND ele explicou pra gente. Ele esteve na China para falar sobre violência, e pelo que ele tinha relatado pra gente lá, é que na China eles estão cada vez mais dedicados a estudar sobre o tema da violência, o que parece para ele é que lá eles estão fazendo o caminho contrário da gente, né? Eles estão mais presentes, mais dedicados a estudar, mais dedicados a conhecer o Ocidente, enquanto a gente está se refugiando ali no chat GPT, né, tornando esse ambiente cada vez mais difícil, o ambiente de encontro com o outro, né? Inclusive, já fiz a relação com ele na segunda-feira, quando a gente conversou sobre a tese do Rafael, né, a tese para titularidade do Rafael, que também é um convite a gente a dar um passo atrás, a ser mais capaz de perceber o silêncio, de aprender com o tempo, com a demora, né, pensando em Derrida. Então eu acho que tudo isso está em diálogo, não só com o que ele falou aqui hoje, mas com o que ele vem falando ao longo da semana para a gente, na FND, no nosso grupo de pesquisa, enfim. Então, acho que vai mais ou menos por aí, né? Não vou ficar entrando nos detalhes, eu não tenho muita coisa, mas não vou ficar entrando nos detalhes, porque, de certa forma, estamos entendendo que vocês foram, né, capazes de pegar aí boa parte do conteúdo. Mas, se tiverem dúvidas, quiserem perguntar de verdade, não precisa ser dúvidas milagrosas, né? Perguntas maravilhosas, podem ser dúvidas genuínas. A gente está aqui para tentar alinhar mesmo, né, esse encontro aí desses dois mundos, né, do inglês, da Europa, com a gente aqui, tá bom? So, I'm gonna ask Professor Mark if he wants to say anything, and then we can open for questions to start the dialogue.
Okay, thanks a lot, Petar. Thanks for this book, and thanks for this presentation, and thanks also for your sensitivity to the political situation in Brazil. So I'm going to start with that, because you mentioned the policial operation from 10 days ago, and it's very interesting because it's it's an illustration for me of the inverted cosmopolitism that was named like that by Etienne Balibar. Etienne Balibar said that the problem of our time is the inverted cosmopolitism. That is to say, these guys, these people like Trump, Putin, that are destroying our common ground for politics. And this action, it killed a lot of people there without julgamento, without being judged. Thank you. It's a little bit confusion of languages. But what was surprising for me is that something like 45% of the Brazilians agreed with this operation, and in the favela it was something like 85%. So the operation of the governador was to have electors, to gain votes. So he was destroying the social tissue of the favela, knowing that it will give votes to him. So that would be a little bit my first question, because when Balibar is mentioning the inverted cosmopolitanism of Claudio Castro, of Trump, Putin, that are destroying the bare conditions of politics, of real politics, they invert the cosmopolitics. And for Balibar, that is necessary to invert this inversion. So it's a kind of negation of negation. Our problem today, maybe our messianic problem, is to revert this inverted cosmopolitics. In a sort of way, it's to stop violence. That would be another way to say that. So the second part of my question will be on something that you mentioned, on the relation between Messianism and apocalypse. That I found it very interesting. Here, in this idea to postpone violence, we have some indigenous thinkers like Eitan Krenak, who published a book that was called Ideas to Postpone the End of the World. And we also have Yanomami Sham, David Kopenawar, who wrote a text that was translated in English, that is The Falling Sky. And the problem for these two representatives of originary people in Brazil is a messianic problem. How can we stop the sky of falling? Because of the global warming, because of the violence, because of the brutal exploration of resources in Amazonia, for example. So, there is a new messianism. That is this messianism that is that wants to stop the sky from falling, to stop the end of the world to happen. That would be maybe a first sort of messianism. And I was thinking, hearing you, that maybe this can be close to Derrida messianism. In respect of Marx, Derrida is writing that now we enter in a new moment for messianism, that is a messianism without a messias, a messianism of reparation, of how to fix, how to negotiate, as you said, but negotiate also with ghosts, negotiate with these people that were killed in the favela, for example. That would be maybe the new cosmopolitics movement, the new messianic movement. And in this family, maybe with Derrida, we can also talk about Peter Anders who reverted the Jewish messianism, not in the restoration of hope, of justice, but in order to stop the catastrophe. And in Walter Benjamin, you can also see something like that, his anti-concept of history. So the messianism is not anymore the messianism of the communist or Marxist project, dogmatic projects. You say that is to have a new realization of justice and of equality, even if we have to pass through a certain sort of violence. Maybe that was the sense a little bit of the Marx quotations that you gave us. But it's to stop the disaster. And I would like to add a third messianism, because maybe you can have some enlightenment for us, because we also have the messianism from the other side, the transhumanist messianism, the messianism from Elon Musk, from Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, I think that 10 years ago was mobilizing, using image of the Bible in order to make happen a new era for them. But it's a new era, it's an anti-cosmopolitics era, but it's also founded on a sort of messianism. They want it to happen, to go to the moon, to make some kind of humans. Maybe here, Korea can help us, because you talked to each chapter of Korea's rebellion. Korea is a prophet that wants to maintain his privilege in sort of way. And the idea of the divine violence is to stop this maintenance of privileges. And that's when Benjamin is talking about a sort of anarchist violence. That's to say, divine violence that will block the only apparition of the first privilege in a sort of way. So we have a lot of messianism now in the air. This transhumanist messianism, this messianism that postpone the end of the world. Maybe we need a sort of messianism, Derrida's messianism, in order to negotiate with our ghosts from the past. So how can you understand that? Is it violent? Is it messianism? Is it sort of violence to make these ghosts come back? But maybe this necessary violence against this transhumanist violence that want to forget everything from the past, from the violence of the past. So that's a little bit this thoughts that I have hearing your presentation.
Thank you, Mark. And I think that this is not a question. This is just annex or to the part of the lecture, practically on the same rhythm of the lecture, with the questions, with the problems, etc. Levinas used one who is also part of this book, and used one. I think he mentioned this moment in Talmud. You have one moment when two doctors are in conversation. Was in conversation, and one of them said, "Messiah is here." It means we are not talking about, in that case, future or Messiah arrived. Messiah is between us. Messiah is already here. This is a little bit the things with this moment is a little bit complicated. It means we are not. How to say, we are in interpretation of this event, which we are already part of it. We are not in situation that to wait something because we are producing war today, and we are thinking that this is fine. And if 45% of people is for this action, this is good. This is the moment very problematic for us. 55 majority. Yeah. Imagine in 5 years, I think that will not be favela like this, because with the drones. We will not have criminals with drones, I think. We will be in completely different situation. If I mentioned also last week, we in different university, it was information in the New York Times, 80% of all atrocities I must repeat this is crazy. 80% of all atrocities in Ukraine-Russia conflict is produced by drones. 80% of damages, victims, 80%. Means this is completely, we are witness of completely new paradigm in war, in violence, in violent acts. we are not safe anymore. When I was in China in May, I was 1 month. I visited many universities, and they told me that 20 years ago it was many robbering in China, but today no, nothing. Everything is under control. Under control with different kind of control. We cannot use Deleuze to explain control which exists now in China. This is a little bit complicated. We have our concepts, our mechanism, how to understand the things, how to read the things, but it's impossible to read the things like this everywhere. It means this technique, technological technique, will probably. I'm talking now of the good, good moments in technology. Okay, drone as an instrument is not good because this is the instrument which destroys. So it's only this, no correction with drone. You could not negotiate with drone. But the question is, how? With drone, we will have immediately this direct democracy. That means I'm not sure that in 5 years, one mayor or one chief of police department will decide something before referendum of all of us. In that case, before this action, we will have on our mobile phones question, we are for this or not. This referendum could be, I don't know what's happened with this, if 55 is for this action. But anyway, this is, how to say, this is social work. We are not communicate between us, that's the problem. We are not, favela is the consequences of our not engagement, of our not communication, of our not responsibility. We are thinking that we are not responsible for this. We are thinking of favela now when we have victims. Wow, let's think now, today, and let us make some kind of action, if it is possible, different. But it's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult everywhere. You have colonial heritage, which is huge, which is in your genes, in your cells, in our cells, all of us. It means we must do something. I don't know. If you check the planes, Paris, Rio, all white people are in plane. This is the fact, and we must change something. But I'm not sure. Okay, I can. I wrote one text about this. Is much more, I think, important than this. What does mean engagement act? To engage. What is the difference between commitment and engagement? Engagement. I don't know. In Spanish, in compromiso. Probably in compromiso. Sorry. How to be together? What we have to do for our how to say, for general thing, for not for us, but for institution as such, for the group, for the collective. For example, 2 times Questia brought me the water. Why? Because I'm here. I have to. She made this not for me. She made this for the event. And this action is engagement act, for example. If we are producing engagement acts like this all the time, for the group, and for institution as such, for the university as such, we will diminish the favelas problem here, for example. Let's visit favela together. Let's make some kind of action to prevent this. Well, or let's invent some new instruments to do this. You know, I'm all the time I'm thinking about what does it mean new, how to produce the new, the same new which Marx mentioned, how to produce new action to be, how to say, to change something. Change is most important word in our how to say West civilization, because we are in the West anyway. How to change, how to make some, you know, and this is the limit of GPT. GPT is generalizing everything which we have, but not new. We have to invent to produce the new. It's necessary to be in group. It's impossible to produce alone. Individually, no, nothing. Well, I think that will be probably this, as you said, not enough is project, not enough is some kind of, but how to produce, how to project something together. Well, maybe this. How to manifest the group, manifest our idea, our option. Please. Yeah.
Tá, ela tinha levantado a mão aqui agora, você, mais alguém? Acho que você também tinha levantado a mão no início. Bia. Então, Guilherme, qual o seu nome? Cássia. Então você começa, aí eu passo para Cássia, Bia, Guilherme, mais alguém? E a Paula. Isso? Tá, aí se for o caso, eles fazem as perguntas e depois a gente começa. Do you prefer
never mind. One by one.
One by one? Okay.
But try to answer, not to question.
Yeah, okay, so since the law school presentation, some points are bothering me a little bit, like this shared responsibility and this backslash in transforming violence into institutions or into law. Because I think about Walter Benjamin and Pachucanes saying that we only have law and institutions because we have the juridic subjectivity. And this is the violence itself. So the law needs, as Marx said, the law needs the violence to stay still in power, no? Mm-hmm. And how this is not violence? How this, for me, negotiation is also violence.
Oh, yes.
Because we are not in the same piece to negotiate.
Yes.
And also the responsibility is not the same, since the state and the law determines how violence can be used by the state and how violence can be used by the workers, for example. Also, another point, I was also in India, mm-hmm. and professor said about Copenhagen, and I think we are talking about a crisis of concepts, no? Because we are here analyzing violence inside the university with the concepts that we have. Copenhagen analyzes violence in his context of indigenous people with other categories that we don't have comprehension, actually.
Yeah, this is huge problem about these concepts, because, well, yeah, that's why we have, on one side, okay, all these people, we can say they are continental philosophers, they are inventing their own language. Yeah, in that case they are continental. Derrida invented, I don't know, many new concepts. He tried to arrange the reality or to think, to understand reality with different kind of conceptions. On the other side, we have in United States or in Anglo-Saxon philosophy, we are not. It's necessary not to invent new concepts, but to try to recognize the problems and try to solve the problems. The idea is a little bit different than here, and I think that combination of two are good. Not because this part of, as you said, this conceptual work is a beginning, introduction of philosophy in a sense to realize something, to solve the problems, to do something with reality, to change something. You will not change nothing if you are all the time in understanding. Negotiation is aggression, but if it is infinite, we are in a situation to change our position, to produce our closeness, and to do this infinitely. Infinite negotiation is a medicine for violence. Okay, but how to say? Infinite negotiation is shared responsibility, I think. If we are in process just to judge the police for action of this 10 days ago, we are not on good way. If we are accepting that we are sharing, that we are responsible for this, that the police is also our hand, that it was our action, that police manifests also our action. In that case, we have a chance to produce not repetition of this kind of action, something like this. That's why I thought that that shared responsibility is most important for this.
And why do you think that China is more interested in these Western concepts of war, violence?
I don't know. When we read Benjamin, I insisted that the students who are better than our students, I must say that, they were obliged to read the translation of Benjamin in China and to think in Chinese, not in our language. I can do this, but I push them to do this. In that case, they will understand much more better us, because their Marxism is not our Marxism. And but they are on good way because they know something about us. We are on bad way because we are not nothing. We don't know nothing about them. Yeah.
Cássia, eu queria só.
Can you traduz isso, por favor? Because I speak English, but I'm not up to it.
Ok.
Nossa mestra, Josiana, ela faz um trabalho.
Qual o nome?
Josiana.
Ah, Josiana.
Nossa mestra. Que nós andávamos pelo espaço e nós olhávamos muito pelos olhos, um do outro. O espaço, os objetos, tudo que estava fora, que estava dentro, a interferência disso tudo no nosso corpo. Atualmente, nós andamos assim. Por causa dos celulares. Eu trabalhei um tempo em Cidade Alta, em Cordovil, e Vigário Geral. a galera do tráfico não olha a gente, the traffic men don't look at us in the eyes because they have a respect, because we are teachers, okay? Então, a pergunta nisso tudo é: qual é o futuro? Já está com a cervical voltada para baixo, just like a primate. Eu queria saber dele qual é o futuro desse ser humano.
Não quer tentar? Pergunta? Já falou o mais difícil.
How is the future of the human being from that observation we have from the body expressions, body movements that we study? We are dancers and we study the body. Because of the...
Sure.
Yeah.
The neck.
The neck area is just like the primate people. Primate people, not primate animals, okay?
She was also wondering in the beginning about, there is this Professor Angel Viana, that she used to say that we, in the past, used to walk and we used to look around and looking people in the eyes, looking the objects in the past used to interfere in our bodies and minds.
Yeah.
So now we are like that.
I think I can say. Can I say?
Yes.
Great future for Brazil, but not for the others, because in Brazil you have beach, you have cult of body, you have gyms, you have etc. That means here no problem with this. Primate will not be here again. In Europe, yes, but this is completely different life, and it's interesting that the question arrives from here, your question, but no problem for Brazil. Well, that will be my answer. You understood? No?
No problem either.
No problem here. Here is no problem because human body here is very important. You have a cult of body to be health, to good looking, to dance, to express, and in that case, no problem for this area. You think differently?
Yes. Because you have that terrible happening in Vila Cruzeiro.
Yes, okay, yes. In that case, yes. Okay, yes.
She also told in the beginning in Portuguese that she worked on some favelas here in Brazil.
Yeah.
And the rule was not look teachers in the eye when you're going in and out. So she thinks that avoiding looking in the eye helps the violence, helps the,
Absolutely. I was kidding, but generally, okay, let's forget this. This is, I know how to say. Reading is better to read something. In that case, Jews are primates already, because they are reading all the time. That means.
I think not reading, but accepting and feeling and acolher.
Yes, you are right.
Approach.
You are right. Yes.
Just like an embrace.
Yes, you are right. Yeah. Difficult. Well, from your option, difficult. Absolutely problematic. But I'm trying to give a chance always, and I hope you, when you went in favela, you are going there to find, because as you are optimist, yeah, and this is our optimism to change something. Well, I think if you okay, I will say in 5 years mobile phones will not exist. It will be different. Screen, something, laser, etc. I don't know. That means we will see. I'm not sure that the body is in problem here. Not just, okay, I was kidding, but I think that that will be crisis if in newest, in invention. It's very difficult to invent something today, you know, because we are in all the time we are in mimesis, in repetition. We are repeating all the time. I think this is the problem. I don't know how to find something new which is not immediately connected to technology, etc., etc.
And here in Brazil, we have more chances to find those options, right?
Yeah.
To have nature. And...
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
So, Bia.
Dá para juntar a minha pergunta com a minha?
Claro.
Porque vai fazer a Guilherme
They are going combine the questions. Yes.
So I'll try to read because I wrote it down so I don't get lost. You said that your book, Violence and Messianism, could be written in many ways through many authors. So my first question is about the presence or the absence of Balibar's work about violence.
Of
Balibar.
Balibar's work about violence in it. So how to think about violence and Messianism in a Balibarian way, or rather in a Marxist way. Is it possible to civilize the revolution with these terms in violence and civility? Or in other words, is it possible to civilize violence? Is it possible to civilize revolution, or is it possible to civilize violence? That's the first question. When you quoted Marx's citation, we say in Portuguese, violence is the parteira da história, is the midwife, history is midwife, so I think it's...
Yes.
And we lose, that is something we lose in
Okay.
The second question is, in my MA research, I explored Walter Benjamin's notion in Critique of violence as oscillating between mythic or law-founded violence and divine and destitute violence, and a movement that I interpreted as central to this philosophy of history. In your reading, particularly in the chapter on Petar's rebellion, the so-called Messianic violence appears not only as a radical interruption, but also as something entangled with the problem of authority and historical judgment. So, my question is, do you conceive Messianic violence as a form that escapes the oscillation between law and suspension? Or otherwise, is Messianic violence, in your view, still marked by this oscillation? So, those two questions. Sorry about that.
No, super, thank you.
Guilherme. Guilherme's gonna complete.
My questions are similar to here. First question is your conception of Messianic Petar, Messianic Petar, which spans an arc from Cain to Torah, offers an original interpretation of Walter Benjamin's idea of divine violence. The earth being a powerful allegory, for it swallows Abel's blood as a silent witness, only to open its mouth again to swallow Korah and his band. Specifically, how does your analysis of the ambiguous figure of Korah, the false Messiah, and first initiator of Messianic Petar, help us understand the tension between the violence necessary for justice and the messianic non-violence that Bojanic evokes when he states that in the world to come, divine non-violence is superior to divine violence. The second question, considering that your mobilized children's fingers, such as Francis Desire and Dr. Bojanic, how can these philosophical reflections on violence and messianism contribute to an ethical critique of the colonial and militaristic practice of the state of Israel? In particular, how those new reflections of violence relate to the impossibility of legitimizing genocidal practice in the name of supposed self-defense or historical necessity. It's possible to say the messianism. It's possible to say the messianism of political Zionism.
Political nihilism.
Zionism.
Zionism. Okay. First, I'd like to thank you because you were obliged to read strictly this text and produce the questions, etc. I'd like if you have a time to send me your questions. I'm not, because they are very precious, and I'm not sure that I will answer. I'd like to think and answer with you with one Zoom, if you want, Zoom small session and talk about this. Here, I'm not sure that is good time. I will mention two things. Imagine that we know, probably we know what's happened 10 days ago. How Benjamin's text and how police violence we can compare, we can put in work in this situation. That will be useful. Thus, Benjamin's text is completely wrong, completely mess of some ideas, which is completely obscure and impossible to instrumentalize to understand what's happened here. This is my counter question to you. For Balibar, I will send you. I exchanged one letter with him in the other book about this idea of conversion of violence, because he has in these books, conversion. What does it mean to convert? Yeah, through Hegel. Yeah, you know that in the institution, this part. Yeah, that means here I think he's doing the same thing as Benjamin with different concepts. I will not, how to say, strictly compare civility or with it, but with the law, with the justice. But anyway, okay. The principal problem here is that, because Mark mentioned that very easy that Kore is Elon Musk. Okay, Kore is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Okay. In this text, you have in the footnote Michael Walzer, who said, this is quote, that Kore and his group he's the first leftist in the history of the world. Okay, how this understand? How understand this? Why? What he's doing? What? Imagine that he's really Elon Musk. He's protesting. Take a look on his action. He's protesting against two guys, Moise and Aaron. And he said, why you are special guys? Why not? He said, why not me? Why not we or some of us? Because he had group. I can't see the problem here. This is the left protest normal operation. Forget privilege now. That means we can, this is the problem. Sometimes we can find some good action in Elon Musk actions. Elon Musk is not always bad guy, always privileged guy, etc., etc. Okay, this is the problem why Benjamin chose Kore. I don't care for this. This is the problem for itself, the position in Talmud, Kore, etc., and between in different kind of interpretations. The problem is why he's using Kore, because Kore anyway has some kind of Marxistic mind in himself or in this group. Because they are protesting. Okay, let's make, if you want, some kind of Zoom session about this, and together with Valkyria and Quesia, and thank you.
So we have Paula and then Robert. Thomas? Okay. So Paula. Okay, she's gonna ask in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Então, eu queria dizer, na verdade, são duas perguntas, uma próxima vez, que é como é que a gente pode pensar dentro dessa figura desse Deus que tudo pode aniquilar o rebelde, né? Por exemplo, no texto do Bojanic, pode aniquilar o rebelde. E pode usar essa violência, então ele tem essa questão que se chama carcerário, né? Se chama carcerário como esse espaço de violência constante.
Eu não entendi depois do aniquilar o rebelde. Ficou baixinho. Ficou baixinho, não dá pra ouvir.
Estamos contando de fundo a imagem desse Deus que é violento, que tudo destrói, aniquila o rebelde, ou pode aniquilar esse outro que busca a revolução, se é espaço para se pensar a violência que se chama carcerário. E a outra é que é a questão do sacrifício. Fica quase, quando eu leio o texto, tem a sensação, eu fiquei com a sensação, mas não sei se é isso que eu pudesse falar um pouquinho, de que existe um sacrifício que seria religioso, judaico, né, que fala da proximidade, da aproximação com Deus, um outro sacrifício que seria uma percepção pagã, que seria o sacrifício como essa questão do espaço da troca. Eu dou alguma coisa do outro, eu dou algo em troca. E como é que a gente pode pensar nessa ideia de sacrifício em relação à violência policial e à morte da violência decorrente da violência policial? Então, essa violência policial e o homicídio seria por parte da polícia como um ato de sacrifício que aproxima esse policial de Deus, então me aproximo, e por outro lado, é a percepção geral, e daí a aceitação tão grande da população como um ato de troca. Ele morre para poder ganhar algo que seria tal da segurança.
So she has two main questions. Just to understand, Paula did a thesis on the prison system in Brazil and how they turn into people that are into monsters. How people inside of prisons are seen as monsters. She also worked with Derrida's theory and your book and everything. So the first question was about how that God that can annihilate the rebels, how this idea could be thinking about the prison system, like how prison system could be seen in this idea of this huge God that it's able to annihilate the rebels. And she was also wondering when you said about the sacrifice, so she understood that there are two main types of sacrifice, the one that's religious and the other one that's not religious. And the one non-religion is a way of exchange in order to receive something. So you sacrifice and then you receive something back. So she was wondering if in that scene where the police annihilate 100 people here, would that police will be closer to God in this idea of sacrifice? So the police does that. It's a bad thing, but at least he's doing something good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think that's also connected with this question about concepts. We have. Okay, this is our problem, Mark. All of us. We are reading. We have, for example, in our plan, you spend so much time, and me too, to read Benjamin. Okay. I said I read this text, I think 50 times. And this is stupid. Totally stupid. Why? Because I'm doing something which he didn't do. That means he didn't want to be clear. He was not clear. I'm trying to all the time to add something, to try to clarify something. Between German, Portuguese, all the translations I checked to try to understand what he's doing. The same thing with Derrida. The same thing with Sartre. If you read Sartre, you have on every page you have some brilliant problem. He's a great man, totally great man, but no developed nothing. Benjamin didn't develop this text. That text is just small project of bigger text, as you know, bigger book. Okay, in that case, we have a problem. You read Benjamin, and you want to, or we want to understand. We had 10 days ago police violence. Is it really police violence in the sense of Benjamin? Benjamin still works for us with his concepts, with his machine of thinking. And in that case, on one way, we had, this is blood violence. 10 days ago, we had blood. In Kora violence, there is no blood. This is different story. Okay. The blood in Hebrew is the life. Blood is life. Blood is very important. It's not like we are, blood for us, we can say us, is also important in the sense of transformation, etc. But so many problems here. Then I can, when you are asking me this, I can add the new problems. For example, you have on many places in Benjamin that idea that the criminal as such, or rebel if you want, is shushu, is somebody who is loved. He said people like criminals. Yeah. Several times he's using this metaphor. Because on one way or another we like criminals. We like brutal criminal, or criminals if you want. That means you see what I'm doing. I'm adding more problems because it's difficult to understand, as you said here, rebellion, a sacrifice of policemen. Police, probably it's wrong. I understood this idea. I think there is, of course, religious sacrifice, but sacrifice is in economic exchange. Sacrifice is economy. As such, this is sacrifice. We have to put something to get more. Sacrifice is the capital, profit, in essence, substance of capital. Sacrifice is everything. Lotto, what is the name of when you are gaming? Yeah. Well, gambling. Lotto, is a sacrifice also. That means we have to a little bit purify all of these concepts, and try to understand differently. We could not understand what's happened 10 days ago only with Benjamin, or only with our experience here. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what's imagine 55% of people are for this. Why? It's necessarily because we are here, I hope we are reading, and in that case we are intellectuals. We have to, not just professionals, because we are some professionals here, or some of you, but the idea is how to produce all arguments in all senses to understand something. No answer in one way or another, no answer.
So, Thomas?
So, my first part is more a statement and then a question. This idea that war and violence are a midwife, to me is an insult to a midwife. Because a midwife is there to bring life into the world, to help, and to help the mother if she needs it after. So I take issue with that. But my question to you, I want to know, what do you think about, and how do you feel about religions that do not believe in violence? The Amish, the Mennonite, the Buddhist, all of the religions that they don't believe it's okay to be violent.
Yes. Probably that could be option. Yeah, probably that could be option. But unfortunately, we are not part of this. Generally, part of this religion, and huge territory is covered by very military religion protocols, we can say. The same thing, because I saw your reaction 10 minutes before about China. I can't read Chinese. I can't learn this language. I can't read philosophers or Confucius in Chinese. That means we have a limit. We can be fan of this religion you mentioned, but just this. We could not produce collective action on this platform. Here, I think.
Could I change the question?
Please.
Do you think it's possible that the collective consciousness of, let's say, the entire planet could believe in the same things that the religions that don't believe in violence, so we would not have war machines?
Can you imagine after you have some years, you remember Obama, you remember 10 presidents of United States, and you can imagine, and one guy like Trump has elected. How you can imagine this? That means the answer is not. Absolutely not. We are much more worse than we can understand how much we worse. Unfortunately.
Anybody else? Mais alguém? Oh, they have a question on YouTube. It's from Anna? Okay. So, you can? Is it in English? Do you want me to? Okay. So there is a question on YouTube. It's another student from Rafael that's not here. She's asking what role culture can play in countering violence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you were just saying the other way
Okay,
around.
this is the other way of this religion. What religion? What culture? But you see, you know what? Of course, yes. But culture is always. You have many books, Culture and War. Culture is, on one way or another, introduction to the war. Well, we are not. Okay, I can say differently. Culture is to cultivate, to care, to correct, to protest, to object, to change, etc. We are not using enough this kind of instrument and mechanism to produce something better. I think that's it. We are not cultivated enough. We are not taking care of the others. We are not midwife, as you said, or helper. You see. Generally, we started to be our platform today is inequality. I must mention something. One guy who is a professor there in China, in Fudan, and I was talking with him about corruption, etc. And he said, principal moment of corruption in China is kids. When you have a kids, this is the moment when starts corruption. You see? Kids benefit. cultivate the kids. Give something to your kids. That's why it's very difficult. We are not in position to be against our kids. When we be in position to produce inequality in our family, in our schools, in our quartier, no? It's about quartier. Yeah. Then it will be different because the kids are this. You said bring life. The kids are principal moment of corruption, principal moment of capitalism, and principal moment of inequality. Unfortunately. Well,
For the dads.
sorry?
Corruption for the dads.
Yeah.
So stop having kids.
Yeah. Oh, Rafael sent a message too. So let's see. Okay, so Rafael is writing to us just to tell that he's watching from the beginning.
Thank you very much.
I saw that he was the one that advises us that wasn't going online in the beginning, but she will correct that for posterity.
Yes.
And she's thanking you a lot for coming, and she's.
Thank you very much.
He's also he's again apologizing for not being here, but he's going to he's going to get to know everything that happened. We will.
Thank you.
Tell him about Monday and about today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
He's here with us, and he also wants you to autograph in
Thank
his
you.
book.
Thank you. I think this is good moment with these words of Rafael, to stop.
Yes. So, queria agradecer vocês pela presença. Tenho certeza que o Rafael também deve ter ficado muito feliz em ver que tá cheio, né? A Esther fez umas fotos também do público, né? Pegando público, né? E então agradecer o pessoal da filosofia, o pessoal do direito também, que veio em peso, né? E obrigada mesmo. Ele provavelmente vai estar aberto, vai fazer reunião com a Bia e tudo mais, então qualquer dúvida, quem fosse enveredar por esses caminhos aí, a gente tem aí um contato bom, né? So I'm just let them know that you're all the time, that you're really kind with us, so they can keep in touch, and
Thank you
will
very
be
much. Thank you, Valkyria.
the bridge.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was spontaneous.
You want a coffee before?